Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Manga Realization Samurai Captain America figure from Tamashii Nations and Bandai. Now this comes packaged in a box that has an image of the figure on the front, on the sides. On one side you've again just got an image of the figure, the other side you've got the name, and then on the back of the packaging you have more images showing off the various features and poses that you can put the figure in, and then a bunch of writing that I really can't read. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now first of all, let me just say a big thanks to the folks at Bluefin Distributors for sending me out this figure so I could review it for you guys. Okay, now if you're not familiar with the Realization line, this is something they initially started doing with Star Wars characters and then branched off to Marvel. And basically it's where they take well-known characters from these universes and kind of reimagine them as samurai type characters. So for Marvel, this is actually the third figure that they've done. They previously released a Spider-Man and an Iron Man version. And then after Cap here, they're also going to be doing War Machine and Deadpool, are the other two that they've currently announced. And again, this is just kind of a fun little line where they've taken well-known characters and redesigned them as samurais. Now we'll start off looking at the accessories for this figure. So first of all, this figure comes with 3 different pairs of hands. So you get a pair of closed-fisted hands, then you get a pair of grip hands, and then you get finally a pair of open hands. And the hands are done with red. The gloves have some nice sculpting detail, and you've got some black wash. And each hand also has a star sculpted on the top of the hand, which is done with a metallic silver. You know, the star matches up with Captain America, and again, that's featured on the top of each pairs of hands. Now to switch out the hands, it's easy. You just pop off the hand you want to replace. You've got the little hole in the hand and the little peg on the arm, and then you just take whatever hand you want to replace it with. Now that peg might move around a little bit on you when you're trying to stick the new hand in, so you do have to kind of turn and twist a little bit, but once you get it on there, it should stay on there nice and tight. The figure also comes with a sword and sheath. Now, a sword is not something you generally think of for Captain America, but again, that fits the whole samurai theme with these figures. You can't be a samurai without a sword. So with this one, you've got the metallic silver blade, and then you've got black on the handle with some metallic gold on the back there for nice detailing. The sheath itself is just done with a brown plastic, and the sword fits in there nice, so you don't have to worry about it falling out or anything. And then basically, you've got this little clip here on the side of the figure, the left side, and you just kind of slide the sheath in there, and it does hold the sword nice and tight so you can store it there when he's not holding it. I also like on the top of the sword here how they've sculpted a star there. You don't really notice it until you look at the sword from the top, but that is an actual star to kind of match the whole Captain America look. And as long as you have the grip hands on the figure, he will hold the sword nice and tight. Now they've also incorporated a cool little feature on the figure, a throwing star. So they've taken a classic element from Cap's costume with the star pattern on his chest and turned it into a concealed weapon. So what you can do here is remove this star, and it just clips on with a little peg. You can see the peg on the figure, and there's a hole in the back of the star. The star is done with a hard plastic, a hard gray plastic, and you do have some sculpting detail on there, so it kind of looks like a throwing star. And basically you can take it, and so they've taken that classic element and turned it into a weapon that you might see a samurai use. And as long as you have the grip hand on the figure, he'll hold the star in either hand, and he does hold it nice and tight. And then the final accessory that the figure comes with, of course, is a shield. And they've incorporated many of the classic elements of Cap's shield with the red, the metallic silver, the blue, and the star in the middle. But it also incorporates some elements that give it that kind of samurai look and feel to it with the sculpting pattern of it and everything. And you've got these little bumps throughout that kind of stick out. You've got this line work. So it definitely looks like something you might see a samurai use as well as Captain America. On the back side, it's done with just a metallic silver. You've got the peg here so that you can plug it into the figure's back, and then also you've got the handle here which you can lift up so that he can actually hold it in his hands. And that peg that you use to plug the shield into the figure's back can actually be removed. It just plugs in there. It's a double ball type peg system, and it's easier actually if you put the peg in the figure's back first. You've got the hole on there, and then you plug the shield in, and that peg might move a little bit on you, and you can basically fold it up so it fits tight up against the figure's back and definitely looks pretty good. And you can also fold that hinge joint downward so that the shield fits lower on the figure's back if you prefer to display it that way. And again, as long as you have the grip hands on the figure, he'll hold the shield in either the left or the right hand, and he does hold the shield nice and tight. Okay, so for the figure itself, again, they've taken classic elements of Captain America's costume and given it a samurai look and feel to it, and I think they've done a really nice job. So first of all, he's wearing this samurai type mask, and I like the detailing, how you can actually see his eyes in there, in the eye slits there. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but I like that detailing. And then he's got the metallic gold around the face here for the nose and the mouth is kind of sculpted open. Again, something like you would traditionally see with samurais. And then I like how they've taken the wings, so you know, he's always got the wings on the sides of his mask, but with these, they're much bigger. They look like actual bird wings, and these are done with a hard plastic, so you do want to be careful. You know, if you caught this on something, you could probably snap this off, but they've done it with a metallic silver and a black wash, so I like that detailing. And he's got these lines that are sculpted on the top of the helmet with a metallic gold. And then I like how they've done this A. You know, he's always got the A on the top of his mask, but with this, it's an actual separate piece that's sculpted on the figure. It's not removable. It looks like something that could be used as a weapon, kind of like the star on his chest, but it's not removable. But you know, it's kind of pointy here at the tips of the A, so I like that detailing. And then he's got this piece that's done with a rubber type material that comes down over his neck, again very much in keeping with a samurai. And then I like how they've incorporated the chainmail. You know, his costume always has the chainmail, or at least his classic costume had the chainmail on the upper section. And so I like how they've kind of incorporated that into this costume with the metallic blue. So he's got these shoulder pads, which are separate pieces. And then he's got the chainmail over his chest and on the back here. And then underneath, he's got the blue and the white like his classic costume. And then he's wearing these gloves that are very samurai looking with the red color, and they kind of stick out, and these are done with a hard plastic, and you got the black wash on there. And then here at the midsection, for like the red and white, you always would see they've kind of incorporated, you know, these kind of stick out at the waist. This is, I guess, to protect him when he's sword fighting, and this is done with a rubber type material and the metallic silver and red. But again, that's kind of to look like the midsection, the red and white that's on his traditional costume. So I like that. Then he's got this skirt piece with this belt. The sword, this little knife here, is actually sculpted on there. Nice detailing, but it's not removable. And you've got some purple with the metallic blue and the black. These inner pieces, which are all done with rubber type pieces, you've got purple, and then you've got that metallic blue on the outer pieces, and then some black up here at the top. And then underneath that, you've just got the baggy blue pants. You know, these baggy pants, again, are in keeping with what you would see with a samurai. And then he's got the red boots, and you've got, again, some chainmail that's kind of sticking up here at the top with the metallic blue, and you've got some black wash on the boots. And then for the straps of his sandals, you've got this cream color that kind of stick in between his toes, again, kind of in keeping with a samurai. Now, these realization figures are taller than your regular 6-inch figures, and this one stands at about, if you count to the tips of his wings on his helmet, comes up to about 7.5 inches tall. I don't have the Iron Man figure, but here is a comparison with the first figure they did in the Marvel line, the Spider-Man figure. And then here's a comparison with the first Star Wars figure they did in this realization line, Darth Vader. Okay, so for articulation, you got a lot of pieces on this figure, and most of the things that pop off you can easily pop back on. And when you're fooling with the figure, the star will sometimes have a tendency to pop off, so I'm going to actually remove it while we do the articulation. Also, these inner pieces, these purple pieces down here on the skirt, these actually connect with ball joints, so when you're moving the legs around, those might pop off, but you can pop them back on if you want to. But starting with the head, you can turn the head to the left and the right. Now you have this piece that sticks out from the chin. I forgot to mention this before. For a samurai, you know, this would protect his neck when he's sword fighting, and this piece actually has some articulation. You can rock it back and forth a little bit there, and it doesn't really limit the head movement. It might get stuck on the collar when you're turning the head, but you can kind of adjust it so it's not really a big deal. And he can actually look down pretty good. You get movement with the neck at the top and the bottom there, so he can actually look down pretty good. And even with this thing on the back of the helmet, he can still actually look up pretty decently as well. You also get pivot to the left and the right Arms attached with your standard ball hinge type joint. He does have these shoulder pads, which again are separate pieces that just attach with ball pegs, but you know, basically you can do the arm around without too much problem. It doesn't really limit the movement there, and you can rotate the arm around. I just pulled off the hand here, which attaches with a ball peg. But you know, again, you might, when you start handling this figure, you might have pieces that will come off, but they go right back on. You also get a bicep swivel up high there, and you get a butterfly type joint, so you get some back and forth movement. You get a double hinge type elbow, so he can bend his elbow really good. And then you also get rotation here at the glove cuff, so you can rotate there. You get rotation with the wrists. They just attach with those little ball hinge pegs, so you get up and down movement or back and forth movement there. At the midsection, you just get a rotation, and you can pivot to the left and right a little bit. There's no real ab crunch, so you really can't go forward. You can go back a little bit there, but that's about it. And then with the legs, you can do the splits about that much. The legs attach with ball joints, and you do have a thigh swivel up high there. And then you get a double hinge type knee, so good bending there at the knee. You also get a rotation, a little bit of rotation there at the boot cuff swivel. And then with the feet, you've got hinges, so you've got some up and down movement, a little bit of pivot. Basically, you got those ball hinge type joints, but the way the boots are sculpted, they kind of come down over those joints, so it limits that movement. And then you get some toe articulation as well. You can do the toes up a little bit, and no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So for what this line is, which is basically taking classic characters and making them look like samurais, I think this is definitely a cool looking figure. I like how they've incorporated things like the throwing star in his chest and done the chainmail and the wings on the head sculpt. I think that all looks really cool and is in keeping with Captain America. Being that Captain America is one of my favorite characters, I definitely am glad to add this one to my collection. Now this figure is available now. You can get it at places like Big Bad Toy Store. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below for that. And as always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel by hitting that button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.